Welcome to EVTV for Monday, March 17th, 2025. I'm Lewis here with
Deanna.
And we just got off of a fantastic spring break. What all did you do for spring break?
Sleep, eat, and party.
Sleep, eat, and party. And now you're probably horribly tired this morning, wishing you could go back to bed right now. Did you hang out with all of your friends?
Of course.
Really? Kennedy?
Always.
Shout out to Kennedy. Okay, we do want to remind y'all that the college fair is going to be tomorrow for juniors. You have to be here. If you signed your permission slip, you have to be here really quick, like 7:30, so that you can get in the cafeteria, because the buses are going to leave at 7:45. So there will be no tardiness if you're planning on going to the career fair. Are you going to the college fair? You're not. Okay, so be here so that you can make sure you get over there on time. It's going to be fantastic. We wanted to feature today, we don't really have any stories because we're working on production right now. We wanted to feature one of our Choose a Career segments. Check it out. Good morning and welcome to another Choose a Career episode. Today I'm here with Miss Evans from the Meeting Hope
Therapy
Services. And we're going to talk about speech pathology. Is that correct?
Speech pathology, yes.
All right, tell us about that as a career.
Okay. Well, speech language pathology as a career is a very, first of all, very passionate area to go in. It focuses on several speech impairments, such as stuttering, articulation, voice problems, and then if you move to the adult arena of speech language pathologies, you deal with patients with Alzheimer's disease, Huntington's chorea, Parkinson's disease, stroke-related types of language problems. So speech language pathologist is a very vast career. You can do anything from working with kindergartens and preschoolers in terms of articulation, early development of language, all the way to working with adults with any type of swallowing problems. I always say that the way to really know what speech language pathology is all about is to look at the different types of therapy: physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. So when we talk about physical therapy, we're talking about everything from the waist to the feet. Walking, ambulation, what have you. When we talk about occupational therapy, we talk about everything from the shoulder to the waist, basically. And sometimes they move into the hips area. When we talk about speech, we talk about everything from the brain to the neck.
Okay.
So everything is in there. Brain-related type problems that are caused by acute brain damage, that are caused by a stroke. You may have that is caused by even a sports player who's had a head injury, a concussion. So we deal with those type of short-term memory problems, those types of aphasic word finding difficulty, cognitive difficulty that exists and relate to brain damage or problems in that area. Also, we move to the mouth. That can be affected by early development or delayed development of language, any type of stroke-related problems, and aging diseases such as dementia and Alzheimer's. So then we move to the throat. Any type of throat cancer, problems that affect the throat in terms of a stroke, any type of car wreck. So you would have what's called swallowing problems, which is, the medical term is dysphagia. So really exciting for a speech pathologist to know about swallowing as well. So in telling my viewers here today that a speech pathologist doesn't only deal with talking, but we deal with memory and swallowing as well.
Wow. So there's a lot of different facets to
Yes.
this field. Now, typically, will a doctor, or would y'all be considered a specialist, and a doctor would hook you up with a patient? Is that typically how your client base works?
Well, typically, it depends on the setting that we're in. We do work closely with the doctor, and the doctor will either refer or recommend speech services, and then we will examine, assess that person, and give our information to the doctor, and the physician does an order for it.
Okay.
For our services.
Okay.
And you can working in any population that will need our help, whether it's in an acute setting, an acute hospital setting, long-term care such as nursing homes and rehab nursing home setting, home health, and as well as working with any type of developmentally intellectual delay adults.
Okay.
So
So a pathologist could be, your work environment could be a number of different
different type of settings, even with sports commentators, in terms of working with voice and diction, accent reduction. So
Almost like a coach.
yes, almost like a voice coach, in terms of prosody, voice, articulation, and diction as well.
Okay, I've got 3 other questions. Number 1, what's the education background if you want to be a speech pathologist?
If you want to be a speech language pathologist, the first step is to you have to have a BS, a bachelor's degree in communicative disorders.
Okay.
Okay, and that gives you the foundation of whether or not you would want to branch off into audiology, which is just with the hearing, or speech language pathology, and you're going to deal with all of the areas that I just spoken of. You want to first get a BS degree in communicative disorders, and then go to graduate school, get a master's degree in speech language pathology, and from there it is a requirement through that program, through the course of that program, to actually get about 300 clinical hours. So some of them are broken up into observation hours, then working in a setting, whether it's a hospital setting or a nursing home setting or school-based setting. So you have to get those 300 clock hours. Following that, it's a kind of a lengthy process. You have to do what's called your clinical fellowship year, and that is 9 months of supervised work that you can do on a temporary license that's issued by the state in which you're working in. And that is called your 9 months clinical fellowship. Following 9 months of clinical fellowship, and by the way, this is a paid position.
Okay.
So as long as the company hires you, they have a supervising SLP that has a CCC, which is a certificate of clinical competence, that's your goal. So after the BS degree in communication disorders, a master's in speech language pathology, and which includes your 300 clock hours, then a 9 month. It's almost like a 9 month residency.
Okay.
But it's really called the clinical fellowship year. Then following that, you would take the national exam by ASHA, which is American Speech Language and Hearing Association, and passing that exam, you would obtain what's called a CCC, and that's the Certificate of Clinical Competence.
Okay. What are the hours typically like? Obviously, you can work as much as you want, but what would a typical work week look like for somebody in this field of work?
I would say about 28 to 40 hours.
Okay, so
Okay.
a typical 9 to 5.
Yes, a typical 9 to 5, unless you are doing telehealth,
Right.
Which
could
can be
anytime.
Which could be
Your phone
well.
rings.
It depends on if you're in a school system.
Right.
Of course, I can live in Mississippi and work for a school district in California.
Right.
So I'm on California school time.
Right.
If you are a contract speech pathologist, which is what I do, then it varies. You have more flexibility. I may have clients from about 9 to 12. Then I may have meetings from about after lunch, maybe 1 to 2. So it kind of varies depending on what area you're working in.
Okay. The last question, and this is the one that students are curious about. What type of salary can a speech pathologist expect to make? Obviously, we talk about this all the time, students. Depending on where you live in the country, the cost of living scale is going to dictate that a little bit. But around here in the state of Mississippi, Tennessee, the Mid-South collectively, what could a speech pathologist expect to make about?
Well, when we talk about a new grad, just coming fresh out of school, maybe doing that 9-month year.
Sure.
You're looking at maybe about $50,000 that particular year. When you've got some experience and years under your belt, you can make from a range of 75 to 120.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's healthcare. That's healthcare type salaries. Like
Right,
those are
yes.
nice jobs.
Yes. And by the way, speech language pathology is listed in the top 10 medical professions.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're up there, people. So,
Okay.
Students.
All right. If a student is interested in this field, what would what would you suggest a student, if they're interested in this field, do? What would their next steps be that you would suggest? Obviously, they're gonna need to get a bachelor's degree from college. What are your suggestions if they're lost and don't even know where to start?
Okay. Well, one of the things you want to do is, hey, you know what online looks like. So you want to do your research about the field of speech language pathology, what's out there, what's available. You also want to maybe look on social media and find speech language pathologists that talk about what they do, and start looking at college programs that offer a communicative disorder, an undergraduate course line. So you want to do that first. And then in checking on that, I also want to say that we have something new this year.
Okay.
We'll actually develop maybe within 2 to 3 years, and it's called speech therapist assistant. This is very new. The occupational therapist has a assistant,
Right.
and also the physical therapist, but it's very new for speech. And you can become an speech language therapist assistant by just obtaining a undergraduate degree and having to do 100 clock hours, but you have to work under a licensed SLP.
Okay.
And you still have to take an exam, but it is the assistant exam.
Okay.
And of course, that salary rate is lower, but if you don't want to go through all of the path of becoming a speech language pathologist, I hope you do, you can have that route of being an assistant.
So if you're interested in the field, that's a little bit of a shortcut if that's what you choose
Yeah.
to do. All right. Well, thank you so very much for coming and chatting with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, students.
This week's featured vocabulary words are dynamic, eclipse, and emerge. Dynamic, characterized by constant change, activity, or progress. Eclipse, a loss of significance, power, or prominence in relation to another person or thing. Emerge, become apparent, important, or prominent.
That's it for today's episode. Here at Horn Lake, we're better students, always growing and expecting more. Stay tuned for your lunch menus and athletic schedules. We'll see you here tomorrow. Have a fantastic day.
Even though